How bad can a $1 mini PC really be? And does one even exist? Can I actually buy a fully working mini PC for just $1? Well, I'm here to find out so you don't have to. I've already bought a $1 laptop, and I've even built an entire PC for free. But a mini PC is a much bigger challenge, because when it comes to computers, smaller usually means more expensive. So this challenge is going to be a lot harder. My goal is simple: buy a mini PC for just $1 without getting scammed. If someone sells me a broken machine, this video is basically a failure, unless I can repair it. And if I do get it working, I'll push it as far as possible, optimize every last bit of performance, and see if it can run Minecraft. Let's start searching. Our search for a $1 mini PC starts on AliExpress. I found plenty of systems that matched exactly what I was looking for: small, compact mini PCs. But there was one problem. They cost more than some of my expensive desktop PCs. Even products that were supposedly discounted by 90% were still way over my budget. So, as usual, I set the maximum price to $1, and oh shit, did not match any products. I was being eliminated from the challenge before it had even started. This clearly wasn't the right place. So I had to go back to eBay, because if you're looking for the cheapest version of anything, eBay is usually the place to be. Instead of throwing old hardware away as electronic waste, sellers can list it here and make a little money from something they no longer use. The problem is that very few of the mini PCs I was looking for were actually available at this kind of price. I even increased my budget by another $10, and all I could buy without entering an auction was an empty mini PC case. If I wanted a complete mini PC, I'd have to deal with bidding wars or pay an absurd amount for shipping. At this point, I was completely stuck. The place I thought would be perfect for this challenge turned out to have nothing for me. At this point, I was almost out of options, so I did what every desperate bargain hunter eventually does. I started gambling on auctions. While browsing eBay, I came across an HP EliteDesk 800G4 Mini with a starting bid of just $1. For a brief moment, I thought I had hit the jackpot. Then almost immediately, somebody outbid me. Apparently, I wasn't the only person hunting for ridiculously cheap computers, or maybe I was fighting bots. Either way, I didn't expect this challenge to take so much of my time, and by day 2, my strategy had completely changed. Instead of looking for the best mini PC, I started looking for the one nobody wanted. I dug through forgotten listings, dusty old machines, and mini PCs that had been sitting unsold for so long, they practically became part of eBay's inventory. That's when I found a few interesting candidates and added them to my watch list. Not just one or two either. I was watching 15 to 20 different machines from different sellers, hoping somebody would notice what I was trying to do. Then I waited. A few offers started coming in. One seller dropped the price to $15 with free shipping. Still way too expensive. Another seller offered me a machine for $8. Sounds great, and until I saw the $10 shipping fee. And after that, nothing. No new offers, no miracles. Then out of nowhere, I got a message from a seller. He offered to sell me a mini PC for just $1, as long as I covered the $5 shipping cost. According to him, he was simply clearing out old inventory and wanted to get rid of hardware he no longer used. At that point, there was no way I was turning down a deal like that, so I accepted it. Now, let's see what exactly I managed to buy for $1. Oh my god, it's actually a mini PC? And I mean mini. The whole thing is only about 20 centimeters across. I can literally hold it in one hand. For a moment, I was feeling pretty good about this purchase. Then I noticed something else. The seller had included a hard drive, and surprisingly, it's a 128 gigabyte drive. What confused me, though, is why the drive was shipped separately instead of being installed inside the machine. And there was another problem. The seller didn't include a power adapter, but then again, I paid $1 for this thing. I don't think I'm in a position to complain. Then something moved. Wait, was that an ant? Oh shit, that's definitely an ant. And then another one, and another one. The longer I looked, the more ants I saw crawling out of the machine. At this point, I started wondering if they weren't just visiting. What if they actually lived in there? So I grabbed a screwdriver and opened the mini PC. And, oh my god, there were ants everywhere. Not just ants, eggs too. This wasn't a computer anymore, it was an ant apartment. Apparently, this machine had been sitting unused for so long that an entire colony decided to move in. And somehow, even after being packaged and shipped across the country, they still refused to leave. So before I could do anything else, I had to evict my unexpected tenants and clean the entire system. But once the ants were gone, I realized they were only the beginning, because a whole new list of problems was waiting for me. Unfortunately, getting rid of the ants was only the beginning. The next problem was the storage. This mini PC didn't include a power cable for the hard drive, and the power connector on the motherboard was completely proprietary. Of course it was. So I had to find a connector that fit the motherboard, then splice it into a SATA power cable myself. The wiring wasn't particularly difficult. The difficult part was making sure I didn't mix up the pins and accidentally turn this mini PC into a very small smoke machine. Unfortunately, the seller didn't include an M2 SATA SSD either, which would have made this whole process a lot easier. Anyway, after a bit of cable surgery, everything was finally connected. So, let's see if this thing still works. I plugged in the power, pressed the button, and oh no, nothing. No lights, no fan spin, no signs of life whatsoever. The machine was completely silent. At this point, I was genuinely confused. As far as I could tell, I had given it everything it needed. Then I noticed something. No way. I pressed the power button again, but this time a little harder, and suddenly, it turned on. Turns out the external power button wasn't fully reaching the switch inside the case. This is insane. The machine actually booted, and after checking the specs, I immediately understood why it was so cheap. The CPU is an Intel N2930. Oh my god. It only runs at 1.8 GHz. I'm willing to bet most people watching have never even heard of this processor before. And to make things worse, it only has 2 GB of DDR3 memory. But what happened next was pure suffering. Using this machine felt less like testing a mini PC and more like serving a prison sentence. Getting into Windows was a battle every single time. It kept crashing with blue screens right before loading the desktop. So eventually I decided to reinstall Windows. Simple, right? Nope. The installer kept throwing the same message at me over and over. No drives were found. It simply refused to detect the storage. And when I finally got past that problem, a new one appeared. The system refused to boot. At one point, the installation reached 100%. I was already preparing to celebrate, and then, boom, frozen again. I hated this mini PC. I genuinely hated this mini PC. By 2 a.m. on day 3, I was completely defeated. This was easily the lowest point of the entire challenge. Look at this. Frozen again. Every time I thought I had finally won, the screen would hit me with those 3 cursed words. Please wait, and then nothing. This $1 mini PC was slowly turning me into a crazy person. I was completely losing hope. Before giving up, I decided to try one last thing. A different operating system. If Windows didn't want to cooperate, maybe Linux would. So I downloaded Linux Mint and told myself this would be my final attempt. I was really counting on this moment. Then, oh my god, what is that now? The screen filled with error messages and lines of code that made absolutely no sense to me. At that moment, I was ready to quit. Seriously, I had spent days fighting this cursed little mini PC, but for some reason, I decided to try one more time. And then, no way, it worked. Linux Mint actually installed successfully. My best guess is that I messed up a step during the previous installation. Either way, I finally had a working operating system. Now the real test. How long does it take to boot? Oh my god, about 1 minute. Compared to everything I'd been dealing with, that felt lightning fast. The system was surprisingly responsive too. Just sitting at the desktop, the CPU hovered around 20% usage, while memory consumption was already at 1.1 gigabytes out of the available 2 gigabytes. Not exactly ideal, but at least it was usable. And to my surprise, this thing even has Wi-Fi. Although fast is definitely not the word I'd use to describe it. The download speeds felt painfully slow. In fact, my phone was significantly faster. As for everyday web browsing, let's just say it wasn't exactly a smooth experience. Opening websites, scrolling through pages, and reading articles all felt a little sluggish. It worked, but only if you had plenty of patience. Video playback wasn't much better. Even at HD resolution, the system struggled, and once I switched to full HD, things got even worse. The CPU was working almost as hard as it possibly could just to keep the video playing. At that point, I had one question left. Can this thing run Minecraft? So I downloaded the game and gave it a shot. And surprisingly, it launched without any major issues. No crashes, no weird errors, nothing. Then I looked at the FPS counter. Oh my god, 2 FPS. That's awful. The game was so slow I could barely move around. So I started lowering settings and optimizing everything I could find. And oh no. The FPS only improved by a few frames. It still felt like a PowerPoint presentation moving slightly faster than normal. Then I tried one last trick. Instead of running the game in full screen, I switched to windowed mode. And no way. The FPS suddenly jumped to around 20 to 30. Not exactly an amazing gaming experience, but compared to 2 FPS, it felt like a completely different computer. But I wondered if there was still a little more performance left in this machine. So I decided to try an older version of Minecraft, 1.8.9, and the difference was immediately noticeable. The FPS jumped to around 120. While moving around the world, it would sometimes drop to around 90 FPS, but overall it remained fairly consistent. To be honest, this result surprised me, not because the experience was amazing, but because it was much better than what I had seen on newer versions of the game. Would I call it a perfect Minecraft machine? Definitely not. But for a $1 mini PC running a decade-old processor, I think the performance is reasonable. As long as you understand its limitations and choose the right software, it's still capable of doing more than I expected. So in the end, this $1 mini PC can play Minecraft, just not without a fight. Getting to this point took a lot of troubleshooting, a Linux installation, and more patience than I expected. But somehow it got there. If you enjoyed watching me struggle through this challenge, consider subscribing and helping the channel reach 100,000 subscribers. And if you're curious about what other ridiculous hardware can be bought for almost no money, click the video on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.